ahead and record and share my screen. And obviously you have the ability to ask questions at any and all times, and we'll just make this really personalized. So today it's really on using teacher created, but I'm going to also preface that with the fact that it could also be student created video. And some of the benefits of that in the classroom. So obviously, Denise, we've talked many times. You're going to notice in the top right-hand corner, there's a bit.ly, and you are able to access the full slide deck using that bit.ly. And with a bit.ly, anything that is capitalized must be capitalized when you're using that. And then I think that there are some links and information in here that you may find useful in the future. So that might be something that you may want to access later. And I am always there to support and answer questions. So, but real quick, just what has been your best part of summer so far, Denise?
Well, I haven't really got a summer because I'm 12 months, but I took a week and kept my grandbabies. So that was fun. I've got 3 and I kept 2 out of the 3 for 6 days. And it was a lot of fun and so funny. We ran them ragged. Like, let's go to the zoo. Let's go to Blue Zoo. Let's go.
How fun.
Yeah, we ran them ragged. They were tired. Their mom and dad were like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to step up our game.
Yeah, you spoil them, they go home and I'm bored. I was going to say, I haven't had much of a summer either. I'm in the middle of 2 classes right now between statistics and a philosophy class and work. So yeah, my summer will officially start in 2 weeks and last for maybe like a weekend. So, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So today I'm going to really cover 3 things, talking about the benefits of teacher created videos, discuss some video creation considerations and ideas, and then see if there's any questions, comments, concerns you might have. So video creation and supporting research, because, you know, pretty much everything, I really like to tie everything back to research and make sure that there's valid reasons for doing what we're doing. And teacher created videos, allowing students just to see your face, especially if this is a blended or virtual environment, or even if you're creating videos, anytime you're outside of the classroom and students can see your face, it builds those connections and community. And while there's a ton of pre-created videos already out there that can be incorporated into your lesson, there's still something really special about that teacher created video. And you know, it's really nice that students can go back and rewatch some of the videos for clarification or review purposes. And so to engage and inspire students, to engage and inspire family and caretakers, and save time. And I know that that probably sounds strange because you're thinking, I'm not saving time, I'm making a video. But sometimes these videos can be used where someone asks a question, you're like, oh, I have a video for you. Especially if it's like maybe learning to use a tool or software or for information or instructions on projects. That can really save a lot of time. So real quick, and I'm hoping that I have the everything set so that I can show this short video. I thought this like summed everything up. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
They announced that school was officially going to be online for the remainder of the school year, our teachers began making videos so that there was more connection to the students. Having us deliver the content really brings it to life. That's Miss Sorton that's on the screen, or that's Miss Cruz that's on the screen. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Having that as a YouTube link, it's easier for families to have access. It doesn't require you having a particular program or downloading anything onto your phone. They're just clicking the link and they're able to watch the YouTube video, which then gives the child the information he or she needs to understand that content from their teacher. Our goal is to make videos 3 times a week. We try our best to stay anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes for their attention span.
Hey guys, so I noticed that some of the short responses were missing some information.
So Ms. Cruz is our 3rd grade ELA social studies teacher. She consistently assigns short responses for the text students read. And she noticed that they were not following the elements that they have been taught. So she took that as an opportunity to reteach it.
And then we need 2 details from the text, or as we like to say, evidence.
Any direct teaching video is accompanied by 5 multiple choice questions for us to be able to gauge if the student watched the video, did they understand the video, and use that information for further planning. So teachers are also making videos in specialty areas. Our music teacher has created an assignment for this week where students are making their own instrument.
I'm going to show you how to create a box guitar.
In order for him to know that the students completed the assignment, they will submit either an audio file, a photograph, or video of their instrument. In addition to making videos that are educational, that require direct teaching, we really did think about our students' social emotional well-being. And our kindergarten team made a video together where they included their family members so that every morning when the kindergarten students wake up, they're able to see their teachers singing the good morning song.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
It's been really nice to watch the evolution of teachers and their videos and how much more comfortable they're getting. Initially, we all felt a bit awkward speaking to your computer. Now we're starting to get more creative. Our students love seeing us get goofy and having fun. And, we're doing all of this to find ways to deliver content that is meaningful. That's why the videos became something that mattered a lot to us as a community.
This is gonna be a wonderful day. Good morning. Good morning.
And I just thought that that was a great way. And I know that all of those videos were elementary focused, but I think that, obviously they have to be engaging for elementary focus. But if you're thinking middle and high school, creating videos can be a great way to share content with students. So just a little bit about creating your video, some research-based best practices. Some things to keep in mind is like a cognitive load. This is the strain that's put on working memory by processing the requirements of learning a new task. And you can compare this to like a spinning wheel on a computer when it's trying to download a stream or a video. Computers can be overwhelmed and students can be overwhelmed too. So you want to make sure that when you're creating videos, you want to connect information to prior knowledge, and that allows less processing time and more information can be processed by your students. And when we're talking specifically about cognitive load, we want to think about sensory memory. Your brain has to determine what is most important. And although we really like the idea of adding music and sound effects, we have to make sure that too much text or too much sound or music can be really overwhelming to students. So it's kind of like finding out what is that little niche on what works best and what doesn't. There we go. And we also have our working memory to keep in mind. Your brain can only process about 4 or 5 pieces of information at one time. And that information only stays in your brain for about 30 seconds unless you can make a connection. Once that connection is made, then you're able to retain that information for longer. And then the last part of the cognitive load to keep in mind is your long-term memory. And like I said, when you make connections with new information to previous information, it makes that information stick. So we all know that because that's what you're already doing in a regular classroom. So let's think a little bit more specifically to video. When you're creating video, there are 3 areas you really want to make sure are balanced. You want to make sure that you're using auditory and visual cues, but you want to make sure that you're, again, not overwhelming them with one or the other, or not making them overpowering. You know, I could sit here and really, I know I talk with my hands, I see them, but, you know, sometimes that could really be distracting for a student. Or, you know, sometimes there's things going on in the background that when you're making a video, you know, that can detract from student comprehension and understanding. And like I said, this is like the 3rd time. So I think that that is kind of connecting it to it's really important. You do want to make sure that you're using new information and connecting that to old information, again, to make sure that that sticks. And again, I keep saying, you want to be engaging and exciting, but at the same time, you don't want to overload your learner. And normally when you're in the classroom, I was a pretty theatrical teacher, but I could also tell on my students' face if it was too much, or if I needed to tone it down, or if I needed to wake them up. And when you're making videos and sharing instruction through videos, you don't have that face-to-face time. And sometimes it can be a little difficult to gauge exactly where you are. So if you were going to be creating videos in your classroom, I wanted to share a couple really quick, short, easy tools. If you recall in that video, they were saying that, you know, we know that we have short attention spans. I know Denise just sat through a training all day yesterday. And when we're sitting there for a long time, we need that break. And so, you know, most researchers finding that maybe about 4 to 6 minutes per video is a good amount of time. It's providing information in chunks. So Screencastify is what I normally use when I'm making videos. It's free. It's a Chrome extension. Now, of course, you always have to determine if your school district will allow that Chrome extension to be used. And it's a 5-minute video limit. So sometimes you're like, I have to keep it short, but it makes you keep it short. And the great thing with something like Screencastify is I can video just myself, or I can video the desktop and do a screen capture or a screencast, thus the name Screencastify. So that way students can still see me, because that's what they're saying is you should still have your little picture in the corner, which you're able to do. But that way they can see here and you're showing them exactly maybe where they're clicking or what they need to be doing. Another free tool is Loom. It does give you, once again, a 5-minute video limit. This one's a little different though. It does give you 25 video limit per user. Now, if I've done my research correctly, that means you can have 25 videos saved in your Loom account, but if you take them and upload it to YouTube or store the video someplace else and delete it, then it detracts from your Loom storage video, so you can have more. I thought this was great because I actually had a teacher email me a couple weeks ago, and she had a question about something, and instead of typing out the full question, she just did a Loom video and said, look, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong here. And it was just a wonderful way for her to be very specific in her question, and actually it modeled, and I just made a Loom video right back to her showing how to solve that problem. So Loom is another wonderful one. Another one, and I've played with this before. I've used the paid version. Vimeo is strong. It's been around for a long time, but they do have a free version. It says you can make up to 10 videos per day, which I thought was really a lot. I could not find the exact information on the length of time for a video, but this is a great way that you're able to download converted video files. So if you want to maybe be doing some editing in another tool, this might be another route for you. If you are using an iPad, one of my professors this semester is doing all of her statistics videos on her iPad. And it's been great because, you know, she can use her Apple Pencil and write and make notes all over. You can use Screencastify, TechSmith's iOS screen recorder, and Explain Everything are 3 free apps that, you know, allow you to do things that you might not be able to do on an actual computer because of your mouse and the capability of maybe not writing very easily. This one is like my all-time favorite, but it's also expensive. Camtasia, I would recommend if you're a hardcore user. I think it's about $169 a license. So, you know, that's something that I purchased on my own. What I do like about Camtasia is I can go in and actually do the editing. I could pull other, I can layer audio, so I could have music in the background. I could have my audio track. You can go in and take out all of your ums, which I know when I make videos, I say a lot. And you're able to add other effects to it. But again, you can easily use free versions and not even worry about that and still get the point across. I just thought if there was anyone out there that, you know, really was into video making, you might want that. So now once you have a video made, I would recommend saving it someplace. Sometimes I've saved them just in my Google Drive as a video file, and I can share a link from that. That makes it really easy if I want to share it like in Google Classroom or on a Google website. Some people do and create their own YouTube channels. Great thing about that is you can make playlists. So if you're making step 1, step 2, step 3 videos, they're all right there in a combined playlist. The downfall of that is sometimes some schools block YouTube. So maybe if you're working with adult learners and you're doing professional learning opportunities for teachers, this might be a really good way. Free, easy to use. The great thing is with YouTube, you can change some of the settings so that if you've got young learners, you're making sure that only people with the direct link to the video can access it. Obviously, if you're using video making with students, you may have some requirements from your school on what could or could not be hosted on something like YouTube. And we also talked about Vimeo because they have their own hosting platform for software or for videos.
I have a quick question about you.
Sure.
So if I want to make videos and put them on YouTube, so I'm assuming I have to go in and create like a YouTube account. And
if you have a Google account, you already have a YouTube account.
like a Google Gmail or? Okay.
Yeah, it's all tied in together, although, you know, it's one of those things that it took me a long time to figure that out.
Okay, so when I go in then to the YouTube, I can just use my Google email and then go everything.
And then you can create your own little playlist and your own little channel where when I make these videos, I host them on my YouTube channel and just have all of them tagged so that they're easy to identify.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll see if I can figure that out. I like this idea.
Okay, now for the really fun part. You got the boring part, like what tools can you use? But what in the world, why use video? So, things that you might not even think of. What if you were to tour a classroom at the start of the year? Now you're thinking easy for kindergartners, for first graders, like here's where you put your coat, here's where you put your bag. But think if you're like a high school science teacher and you would really like your students to understand where certain supplies are kept and what they can and cannot access, a tour of the classroom might be a really good way for them to understand some of those classroom rules. You could also do a tour of your school. And again, you might think that might not be necessary, but think if you are a student who is new to that school, or if you're transitioning from elementary to middle, or from middle to high school, not everyone has the ability to go in and look around, or they may be able to go in and look around, but maybe they're just new to the area. And to provide some idea, when you walk through the front door, you know, here's the office. This is where you can go. Here are some of the bathrooms. It just kind of gives them maybe a little quick idea of where they can't go, how they can find something. And I think that that would be especially comforting for someone who's new to a school. Another thing, introduce some of the people, the key people at that school. And this could be not only shared with students, but think about the fact that you could share this with families. So, hi, I'm your principal. Here are some of my beliefs. This is my first year. You know, you can get that in a letter, but you know, a parent seeing a person talk and introduce themselves, I think makes it a little more personalized. It can introduce the nurse, the counselor, the librarian. And like I said, you know, this could be something done prior to the first day of school. This could be something that's kind of posted out there on a website that they could refer to at another time. And then we get to some of the fun parts. You can use video to introduce new units. So if we're going to be writing maybe like a choose your own adventure story, or we're going to be studying about volcanoes, you could make a trailer similar to something that you might see at a movie theater. Just kind of introduce it. Think of what a hook that would be. You could share it in class with students, maybe like on the Friday before a new unit starts on Monday. Maybe this is something that's their homework to watch. And kind of build some of that excitement, you know, show videos of volcanoes erupting and, you know, get some of that interest going to make them really want to participate. You can also do a lesson recap. There's many times students are out and you have information you really wanted them to know. It could be a summary of a unit. It could be something that you know is a challenge to learners every year, that sometimes it takes them a couple times to listen to it, or you might be able to explain it in a slightly different way that it might just resonate with them. This one could be done by a teacher, or maybe you have a student and maybe that's part of their kind of like assessment. Thinking with students, they could record something on a phone or an iPad. They could use something like Flipgrid and make a 30-second video and just, you know, share what the most important information was. That could be a formative assessment for your students. If you use stations at all, I know that you would probably go and introduce your stations to the students. It could be younger learners, it could be high school science. At this station, you're going to do this. Well, you know, they're going to listen, but I know as a person myself, you can tell me something, but I may not resonate in my mind until I have a question. And so, and you're like, I already told you that. Well, if you've got a video, they can just replay it. Maybe that's stored in their Google Classroom or in an LMS, and it allows them to go back and make sure, did I do all the steps? Did I use the correct tools? Did I you know, write up my summary in the correct format? And like I said, it takes you time to create the videos, but think of some of the time that you save that you don't have to answer some of those same questions over and over again. And that provides some accountability to students that they know where to go if they're unable to remember something or solve a problem. It, you know, takes the responsibility and puts it back on students. Also, if there's projects that you're going to be doing with your students, you know, you can write them on paper, but you can also maybe even just give another version, a really quick, hey, don't forget to do this, or maybe right before a project's due, you could give like a checklist video. Don't forget, before you turn this in, make sure you've done this, this, and this. Just those little quick reminders again, and it just makes that personalized and great for students to go back and review when they have questions. And I kind of already said this, clarifications. If multiple students have the same question, maybe that's a gauge that for the next school year, you create a video that provides that same answer to all of them. So, you know, student asks me a question, I can answer it. I can say, go ask somebody, or I can say, here's a short little video. You know, we don't want to do it for every single thing, because I think Many of us went into education for that face-to-face, that actual contact and relationships with students. So these are just some, every once in a while, it might make your life easier. And tutorials. Like I said, I am in a statistics class right now. Sometimes it's been really challenging to me to listen to the professor teach such a high level math. I found that it has encouraged me to become a more independent learner because I have to solve the problems on my own. But I can also go back and watch your videos over. And sometimes, you know, there's just, especially when you're doing some of those math problems, and these are great when students are at home working on homework and they can't remember. And, you know, mom and dad might try to help. Sometimes mom and dad learned it in a different manner, or maybe mom and dad are even kind of embarrassed. Maybe they don't know how to provide that support. So sometimes those tutorials are just, you know, you could just, again, have them in a repository library with little links that they can go to when they need help. Okay, this is probably one of my all-time favorite reasons of video or use of video. My last role in the classroom was as a technology teacher. Teachers or substitute teachers were completely terrified to substitute teach in a technology classroom. Many of them felt they didn't have the background or the skills or the knowledge. So I was able to create a short video. You know, I still wrote my lesson plans out for the sub, but I created a short video and asked that person to play it at the start of each class. It walked the students through instructions step by step. Students heard my voice telling them their instructions. So there wasn't the communication, well, our substitute said we didn't have to do that. Oh, but if you remember in the video, I did tell you that that was a step you had to take. And once again, students could go back and refer to the video, and it really saved a ton of time, because especially if I was teaching them a new skill, I was able to use a screencast and they could see exactly where to go and what to do. And it was, you know, substitute teachers, that was probably one of their #1 feedback comments for me was, thank you for the video, because it, you know, they learned something new by watching that as well. Think about for guided reading. You could read a passage and you could model the processing questioning techniques you want students to use. Again, that could be with a second grade reader, or how many times when students get up in the high school and they're reading maybe their history content or their history book or something, and you know, they might not have learned strong nonfiction reading skills. And this is a great opportunity for you to make, again, we're talking short 3 to 5, 4 to 6 minute video, modeling some of the ways that you would like them to go through and read a passage, and maybe showing them how to annotate and take notes. So it's just, again, a great way to model for students. Assignment feedback. Think of the fact that I know as a former English teacher, grading writing, I could write those little notes on there, and you know, sometimes students read them, sometimes they didn't. I can make a short video. I can do a screencast and say, you know what, I could tell you really enjoyed writing this, or you know, this doesn't seem like you. And I was able to have that one-on-one conversation with the student, you know, although it was through video, but they were more likely to listen and follow the comments and the feedback through video than they would if I were just to write something. And it provided more authentic feedback. Instead of me just saying, this is great, you know, it saved me time. I didn't have to elaborate and write, this is great because I really like this. It just flowed really naturally. Technology walkthroughs. Again, this could be for students, this could be for parents, this could be for other educators in your building. You know, you can teach a new skill using software, maybe like how to make a graph. And you can break it down into short sections and name them appropriately. How to add a title to a graph, how to turn a bar graph into a line graph, how to change colors in something. And And like I said, this could be useful not only to your students, but if you're using something like an LMS or a Google Classroom, families, this could be beneficial to them. How in the world do I find out how to turn in an assignment in Google Classroom? How do I submit an assignment? Where do I find instructions? I think one of the frustrations many teachers have had is that parents have not maybe provided as much support at times, especially through blended or virtual instruction. Well, I think many times that's because maybe parents didn't know how to provide that support. So by building these short tools and technology walkthroughs, maybe that's what provides the support and guidance that will increase parental engagement in classrooms. And virtual tours. I love Google Earth. I think it's probably one of the most underused tools ever. I could create a Google Earth virtual tour as a screencast and show students where the fault lines are and how the fault lines line up with the most recent earthquakes and volcanoes. And, we can talk about how those plates move back and forth against each other. But when you actually see the fault lines and all the earthquakes and volcanoes, it just kind of comes together. Or if you're trying to show how large a glacier or iceberg is off the coast of Antarctica, and you zoom in and you use the measurement tool and you see that what looks small is actually like 24 miles long, those are great. I mean, I would want to do that in the classroom. But maybe, if I'm traveling on vacation and I know that I'm visiting another country and there's something in that country that's related to something that we're going to study in the future, or maybe even something we've already studied, Chichen Itza, I could show them the temples in Mexico and the ruins and kind of pull that in. And again, we can find videos online for all of this. But when a student says, oh my gosh, my teacher was there, my teacher's showing me, it just, again, provides that connection. And I did also talk about student created videos. And, I think that those are wonderful. They can use some of the same tools. Obviously, you need to think about who the audience would be. And that would vary by school to school as to what's allowed. But think book talks. This could be done through a screencast. This could be done through Flipgrid, and let students have that opportunity to share their favorite books. I don't think, in our daily life as adults, very few times do we actually have to sit down and write like a book report. But we'll sit at lunch and have those organic conversations like, oh my gosh, I just read this book. This is amazing. And, why not allow students to share organically in that manner as well? For a formative assignment, maybe they've just completed a science lab and they can write up the lab report because we want them to understand that, but maybe they're just going to do a quick formative assessment assignment and explain their steps, explain what their hypothesis was and was their hypothesis correct or not. Simple, short, quick, great back to school activity, about me videos. Let them interview their parents, let them interview grandparents. Again, try and keep it short so it's not overwhelming. Maybe the student just wants to share, here's me, this is my favorite color. It allows them to be as elaborate as they want. If you're doing something like this through Flipgrid, you're even able to determine who the viewer is. So maybe every student does not want their entire class to see their About Me video because they're very self-conscious. You can still change the settings so that you as the teacher are the only person that can view that video. So again, there's some of that relationship building where a student can provide direct and personal information without being broadcast. And students that may not necessarily speak up in class may be more confident sharing in a video with just their teacher. Goal setting. I remember when my daughters started driving, we shared the family car rules with them. And I said, I want you, I videoed them. telling the rules of the car for our family car rules. My reason for that was if and when one of them chose to, break one of the rules, they couldn't say, I didn't know that. I would just play it back and say, oh, wait a second, look, on this date, you said that. Now, I wouldn't say that for students, but sometimes having them set goals, you can write them down, but you know what, if I'm gonna look at a camera and I'm gonna tell a teacher, I plan to read 20 books this semester. There can be some of that accountability right there. I'm going to try really hard. I just want to make sure that, I'm doing really well in science, and here's what I'm going to do. Because so many times that's, some of those executive functioning skills that we can teach students how to be successful. It allows them to set their goals, and maybe even another video or writing where they're actually reflecting upon their goals. Did they meet those goals or not? And maybe especially for our younger learners, or think of world language teachers. Have students read an excerpt out loud. You don't always have that time for that one-on-one in the classroom. So maybe students go out in the hallway and record themselves reading. I know that I'm sure you can't imagine, I was very talkative in school. When a teacher said, does somebody want to read? I was like, sure. I also know that my husband has dyslexia. And when a teacher would ask him to read in front of the class, it paralyzed him. If he would have been able to share reading something aloud so that he could show his ability through a video, that would have made a world of difference. And the great thing about that is you're able to see a student's growth from the start of the year to the end of the year if they're doing, multiple videos. And like I said, this isn't just for our young learners. Think about someone learning Spanish and the first time they speak versus their conversation maybe at the end of that year or two. So it can show student growth, not only for teachers, but for families and the learners as well. Okay, so a lot of this came from a book that I read last summer called Awesome Sauce. My husband says it all the time, and I shudder because that's just not one of my favorite sayings. And he says it just to irritate me. But Josh Stock wrote Awesome Sauce, and here are his top 10 tips for teacher created videos. Number one is limit retakes, embrace imperfection, model imperfection for students. If we want students to feel comfortable making videos or talking, they have to understand that, we're human too. We're going to say, we're going to mess up and forget where we are. And it shows resilience and models that for our students. Involve others in the video. Have surprise guests, other students, family members, school administration, maybe some student that has come back from a prior year is like, hey, I want to teach you how to do this in math, or, this was one of my favorite things, just something a little different that kind of surprises students. Like I already talked about a little bit, it's up to your school and what you can do. If you've got the right privacy settings, you can create a YouTube channel to house your videos. Now, here is a slight workaround. There are several video purifiers out there that if you have a video on YouTube, you can use a video purifier like ViewPure or QuietTube or ShareSafe. And what you do is you go to one of those websites, you drop in your YouTube video, and what it does is it cuts out all of the extra stuff on the side, because normally that's the stuff that comes up. Those little, if you like this, you might like, and when you're sharing videos with students, who knows what that extra video. So it purifies the video. Another tool that does that is Edpuzzle. And that reference video earlier included asking students questions. Well, that's another way you can create your own video, upload it to YouTube, connect it to Edpuzzle, and add your own questions as well. I just said also create video playlists on YouTube. Buy a tripod, Sometimes you might want a tripod. Sometimes you're just fine propping it up with a book. Another thing, look directly into the camera when you are recording. Just like we're trying to make sure that you are talking to students, not at students. And there are some really cool tools out there like qprompter.com that if you've got 2 monitors, you could have a script running across your screen that allows you to know what to say. You know, if you're a person who's afraid that you're not going to know, remember things when you're talking. Choose a quiet location. I have a obviously background on my screen right now to make sure that if there are birds or planes that fly by out the window, it's not distracting. We'll also make sure that you're in a quiet location so what's going on around you does not become part of that video. I said also invite students to help or participate. When you're inviting students to participate, it creates more student buy-in, and we know that that really helps build student engagement and interest. Record in a variety of locations. Maybe I do want to change my background. Maybe I want to record one in the office. Maybe I want to record something in the gym because we're talking about velocity and throwing balls. Maybe I want to record something out on the playground. You know, change your location. And last but not least, don't overthink it. Just do it. You know, have fun, be imperfect. You might want to consider the lighting, you know, think about what it's going to look like, but just kind of have fun with it. And I do have a few resources. Like I said, I referenced the book Awesome Sauce by Josh Stock. He does have a YouTube channel for educators. And not only does he have that, he has shared many of the videos he created for his students on a YouTube channel. And I just really, again, liked, he would send a note home to parents or a video home to parents, maybe the night before a big test. Your children are coming home, make sure that they get a good night's sleep, make sure they have a snack tomorrow, just, you know, take care of them, tell them not to stress. And that's really all I have. So questions, thoughts?
So I love the idea of the video thing because I'm the coordinator for Career Tech. Then people have to fill out forms and that kind of thing, and I get 1,000 emails, and I can make a little video of how to do it and just send it to them. I'm so excited. I'm going to do that. Maybe not this year, but I'm going to get that.
It's so simple. We're talking, if you want to create a 5-minute video, 1 minute to log in. Those tools like Screencastify are so simple to use. Actually, I did one of my Tech Tool Tuesdays last summer was on Screencastify, and there is a whole video on our OSDE website that will walk anyone through it. And that is, oops, there it is, Tech Tool Tuesday recordings. And like I said, there's a Screencastify one there.
Okay.
So that might help.
Okay.
I was also going to say, we've got this slide deck. Our August meeting, it is August 23rd. There we go. It is the 4th Monday of each month now. From 3:30 to 4:30, you do have to register for them through Zoom. And my goal is I'm trying to come up with, again, topics so it can be like a professional learning experience. But I also do want to make sure that there's time for teachers to come together and ask questions and, you know, just talk and share ideas. So, but I think that is it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You even get 11 minutes back. How's that? I know I'm a fast talker and you get all nervous when you're doing all these, but so hopefully you found it useful.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
See you later.
Oh, have a good day.